It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. I recently received an email from my dear friend Mike Cohn, and unsurprising, we're on the same page again. So I thought I'd share this with you. Mike is always amazing at pulling these topics out. It's so amazing. It's so funny to me because it's almost as if I have these conversations in one of my classes during the week. And then the next thing you know, I turn around and Mike has done it as part of his weekly letter. This time it's about yes, teams can create accurate plans. So, yes, Agile teams can create accurate plans, the title. What I can tell you is the term release plan actually made a lot more sense when Scrum first started in the 90s. At that time, teams would run a series of sprints and then they would build towards a development build, and then they would release that build. And that's just how software was built. So it took multiple sprints for you to get enough features together, and then you would package those and release them as a package. Made sense, right? Today, most teams release more often than every few sprints. Some release every sprint. Some. I got news for you, Mike. Some release continuously. It's just continuous integration, continuous deployment, which is kind of crappy, but some teams do it. So other teams might release multiple times per sprint, or even multiple times per day. The point he's trying to make here is that the term release plan, while it might be an outdated item, it's still essential for many teams to be able to accurately predict what's going to be delivered in 3 sprints, 6 sprints, or even 3 months into the future. So all the different frameworks, all the different pieces that are out there, they all call this something different. I've heard it called rapid release planning or release planning. I've heard it called quarterly planning. I've heard it called PI planning. I've heard it called milestone review planning. I've heard it called work breakdown structure, energized, or whatever. The point I'm trying to make is I don't care what you call it, as long as we know that it's happening and we know what to do with it. So you're much more successful if you and your leadership team understand that accurate long range plans typically lack the level of precision possible in short term plans. So let me make sure I say that again. Long term plans can be accurate, short term plans can be precise. I can probably tell you what I'm going to have for dinner this evening. Yes, it's a few hours out, but I can still tell you exactly what it's going to be. Where if you said, what am I going to have for dinner next month? That's a little far out. I don't know that I plan that far ahead, right? So it's one of these things where the further out you're asking me to plan, the less precise my answer is going to be. Now, could I give you an answer? I could. I could say, if you ask me, what am I going to have in a month? I could say, it's probably not going to be mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms. But that doesn't mean, and I'll tell you what, that's accurate. But it wasn't very precise. I guess technically it was precise because that's what I'm not going to have. But it didn't answer the question what I was going to have, which was the original question, right? So I think that you need to figure out the difference between accuracy and precision. And I always tell teams when they're trying to forecast, especially for long-term forecasting, that they should be incredibly accurate with varying degrees of precision based on the level of information that they have. But if you can accurately say, and I'm going to go here. If someone comes up to you and says, how long is this going to take? If your answer to them is 13 days, 12 hours, 16 minutes, and 41 seconds, not only are you lying, but they're going to hold you to that estimate. They wrote it down somewhere, and they're going to come to you at that exact moment and say, all right, I can't wait to see this. When in actuality, what you gave them was a forecast or an estimate, but they used it and tried it as an exactament because they wanted it to be exactly correct, right? So then you have to ask yourself, okay, am I really trying to focus on being accurate with varying degrees of precision, or am I really being precise? And what I can tell you is if you're trying to be precise for long-term plans, you're in trouble. So plans can be accurate without being precise. To put it another way, to ensure accuracy, the longer the planning period, the less precise your prediction will be. Thanks, Mike. If I asked your team in January when you can finish a project, you could likely tell me sometime by the end of Q3. By June, you might be able to update your estimate to say sometime in mid-October. By early September, you might be confident enough to say the week of October 22nd, or perhaps we'll definitely have the first 10 backlog items done by October 18th. But I'm not sure about the next 5 yet. All of these answers are equally accurate, but the level of precision varies depending on how far out the time is that I'm asking you to estimate. So when you're communicating a quarterly plan, I recommend communicating your plans as a range, either of time or scope, or potentially both. By the end of the quarter, we'll give you between 180 and 220 story points worth of value. To deliver the 300 points that you've been asking for would take us between 6 and 8 additional sprints. Just be very transparent. Lay it all out, right? So being accurate by giving up some precision will increase trust that other people have in your team, and they'll want you to do their build outs and things again because they know that you're going to deliver what you say, that you're going to say what you do and do what you say. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. There's just too many organizations out there that can talk the talk but aren't able to walk the walk. So being accurate by giving up some precision, that's going to help build the trust and help you have success with Agile. Mike, you're awesome sauce. I love reading your emails. Keep them coming. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at agiledad.com. We would love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.